Thank you for joining us back here on Just Conspiracy. I got a real treat for everybody today. I called up the Supreme Court of Missouri. The Supreme Court of Missouri and talked with them about some of the stuff going on up there. So stick around, check it out, and if you don't know yet, go over to Telegram for Just Conspiracy and subscribe over there because I've been putting some videos out before they get released on YouTube and also some other things that people should think about that I don't talk about on this channel at all. So if you're a true blue co-conspirator, go over there and subscribe. I hope y'all enjoy this conversation. Peace.
Supreme Court of Missouri, how may I direct your call?
Yes, is this the Supreme Court of Missouri?
Yes, this is.
Is this the clerk's office?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm just concerned, and I see that the Supreme Court supervises the lower state courts and conducts educational programs for judicial personnel. And I don't know if y'all know what's going on in St. Louis, but there's a court case talking about fraud in the family courts, and it has an attorney and I think some psychologists pulled into it, and all the judges have recused themselves. And then Angela Freiner is locked up right now, and all of the judges have recused themselves from that case. And I was just wondering if the Supreme Court was going to take any disciplinary action on this.
Hold on just a moment, please. Good afternoon, Supreme Court of Missouri.
Hey, yes, I was just talking with the other lady who answered the phone, and I'm concerned about what's going on in St. Louis, Missouri. There's a court action against an attorney and some psychologists for fraud that happened in the family court, and all of the judges have recused themselves. And then Angela Freiner is locked up right now, and all of the judges have recused themselves from hearing her case or her situation as well. And it just seems to me that there's a problem. And I understand from the Supreme Court's website that y'all are there to supervise all of the lower courts and conduct educational programs for all of the judicial officers in the state. So I was just wondering, I'm sure the Supreme Court knows about these situations because they have to assign a different judicial officer to it. And I was just wondering if they had any intentions or plans on having some type of public disciplinary action for these things.
I do not know, sir. I have not been instructed otherwise, so I couldn't tell you if that's the case or not. So.
Okay, but
Sorry.
it would be the Supreme Court's job to conduct, like, if there was a disciplinary action or hearing, that would be within the Supreme Court's jurisdiction, correct?
Pardon me. The Office of Chief Disciplinary Counsel is the one who actually checks into it and then gives recommendations to the court.
Yeah, and reading from y'all's Constitution, that seems to be comprised of 2 citizen members, 2 lawyers from the Bar Association, 1 judge from the Court of Appeals, and 1 circuit court judge. And, this kind of brings me to another concern that I have because Michael Burton, who wrote the order saying that all judges recused themselves from Angela Freiner's case, he got caught in an email saying, talking about the case against the attorney and the psychologist, that he could reach out to some leaders of the bar to discuss this problem. We want to be proactive in some way. And he was speaking of himself and Judge Hemphill. So, that just kind of leads me to wonder how effective this is when you have judges that can reach out to the members of these committees and talk with them about the issues and the problems. Because, me as a member of the public, I couldn't go and discuss something with a jury and try and talk to the jury before court or while the trial was going on. That would be jury tampering, and it's a felony.
You're asking for legal advice on that, and I am not an attorney, so I can't give you any kind of advice, and it's in your best interest that I'm not. So so to protect your interests as well. So I'll listen to what you have to say, but there's really nothing I can do, sir.
Well, I'm not really asking for any legal advice. I'm not really concerned with obtaining any legal advice because I don't have any personal action that I wish to move. What I'm concerned with is the fact that it appears that the judiciary is not doing their jobs, and I'm concerned with the fact that it appears that there seemed to be conflict of interest that's being performed. And what I'm most concerned about is whether there's going to be some type of disciplinary action that's going to be public, so that the public can see how good of a job the judiciary works up in Missouri. And then that doesn't have anything to do with legal advice.
Well, it also depends on the case as to whether or not it is opened or not opened. So I can't tell you. I don't know, because I'm not familiar with the case. I don't know.
Okay, are you a clerk there in the Supreme Court's office?
I am, sir.
Okay, and you haven't heard about these cases, because it's my understanding that the Supreme Court has to assign a new judicial officer from outside of the circuit when all of the judicial officers of that circuit recuse themselves.
I do not have anything to do with this reassigning judges. That's not something that we do or that I take care of. So that will come from a different entity of the Supreme Court. So I don't have any knowledge, and we have hundreds of cases, and I'm not familiar with 100 of cases. So, I mean, maybe you're familiar with it because it's where you live. I am not. So, I don't. There's nothing that I can do for you. So.
Okay, so the only option people have is really to get in touch with the Judicial Standards Commission. I mean, that's what they call it in North Carolina, but whatever judicial commission that y'all have in Missouri, and proceed it that way. And whether Michael Burton and Judge Hemphill talk with people behind the scenes and get it smoothed out or not, that's just something that nobody can really do anything about.
I can't answer your question, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, and you have a nice and wonderful day.
You too.
Bye-bye. Of course, the number is going to be in the description. Peace. Okay, well, I think the woman down there at the Supreme Court did an excellent job of trying to talk with me. I'm sure that it can be frustrating for people to try and talk to me, and this is what happens when the people in the public, when they know law. So let's just talk about a couple of things that went on in that conversation, and then we'll move on to a different topic. So the reason I bring up the fact that the Supreme Court supervises the lower courts and that they create their education, judicial education, the literature, is because, well, first off, I mean, what are they teaching these people where they're feeling threatened by somebody saying you could have consequences for your actions? And why do they think it's okay to recuse themselves from these situations? And I'm absolutely sure it's because they have firsthand knowledge of the facts, which should be really troubling to everybody. And then it's like, well, it's their job to supervise. So where is that supervision? Because if they would have been doing a really good job of supervising, then we probably wouldn't be in this mess in the first place. And I think it's really interesting when I'm talking to her and she's like, I can't give you legal advice for your protection. This is all for your protection. That's for my protection. Well, I am so glad that you are looking out for me like that, because I really feel the need to be protected for some reason, even though I never asked to be. I definitely agree with that quote. Those who would trade freedom for security deserve neither. So So I'm okay with being free, and I'm okay with you not protecting me as long as you could answer my questions, and couldn't. Now, I do find it really hard to believe that she didn't hear about all the judges of a circuit recusing themselves not just once, but twice within like 2 months. I personally just find that really hard to believe because, I mean, come on. Offices gossip. For real. So let me just kind of break down what their procedures are, and then I'll talk kind of briefly about what used to happen, because I made a whole video series about it. So they have a commission, some type of judicial standards commission. I don't know exactly what it's called up there. And I think it's really interesting because in commerce, commission is the state of acting under authority for somebody else in the purchase and sale of goods or services. So, that's kind of interesting that they named it a commission instead of like a committee, but whatever. And so this commission's made up of 2 citizens appointed by the governor, appointed by their people, and 2 bar associates, and a judge of the appellate court and a judge of the circuit court. So they're picking from a very, very small group in society to make up this commission. Now, if the commission investigates something and 4 of those 6 vote to make a recommendation to the Supreme Court, then they make a recommendation to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court still has to decide whether they're going to do anything or not. It's still got to decide whether they're going to do anything or not. So they have to go through this whole process before anything gets done. Kind of insane. Now, here are some of the things that they could be held accountable for, like commission of a crime. There's that word again, commission. Or misconduct, willful neglect of duty, corruption in office, oppression in office or of the office. Those are some pretty serious crimes. Not something that you should get a slap on the wrist and have a reprimand, a public reprimand. We're going to publicly reprimand you. So I knew that I couldn't remember all of this, and definitely not word for word. So I took a picture of it, and here's my favorite part, especially for anybody who watched the video about how these courts are administrative and not judicial, because it says right here, on recommendation of the commission, the Supreme Court shall suspend a judge from office without salary when in any court in the United States he pleads guilty or no contest or is found guilty of an offense punishable as a felony under the laws of Missouri or the United States. So let me put this into context for you. You could find a judge guilty of a felony, and they could still be a judge if this commission doesn't recommend that they get suspended. Okay? That's just insane. Here we go on to my other part that's kind of rules for the administration of this section and for the procedures thereunder shall be prescribed by the Supreme Court unless otherwise provided by law. So let me explain this to you right here. Rules for the administration, so they're telling you that all of this is just administration, and rules for that administration shall be prescribed by the Supreme Court, just like they prescribe the rules for the civil court and the criminal court and all the other administrative courts of the state. And what I think is really interesting is that they say here, unless otherwise provided by law, and that's what we're going to talk about right now, because now that we've shown that this is all administrative, and I've already shown how the other stuff is administrative, let's talk about how prescribed by law. See, in law, what you would do is first of all, it would be the Supreme Court's job. That's why they call it the Chief Justice of the state, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, because it's the chief's job to make sure all the other judicial officers are acting appropriately. So they should just take it on themselves to watch over everybody and reprimand people as necessary before there are real problems in the judiciary, which, well, we've kind of gotten past that point. So what would happen after that, and here's the prescribed by law, is that if a grand jury member or a member of the public, a member who knew about corruption, wished to make a presentment, then they would go and make a presentment to the grand jury and go for an indictment. And that's how it would be prescribed by law. And then the judge would be indicted and face a jury, and then again, that's by law. Okay, and typically, like way back in the day, the prosecutor was you. Okay, in fact, I remember looking in a federal legal dictionary one time, and the definition it had for the prosecutor was the chief witness to a crime. So I will go into that more in other videos, but that's how things used to work. They don't work like that anymore. They don't work like that anymore because people don't know law. So if you wish to make a difference, and people have been asking, how can they make a difference? What can they do? Call the Supreme Court. Call the clerks. If you keep the clerks, if 1,000 people called and had that short of a conversation with them, that would be over a week of a clerk working full-time. That cuts into their business practices. And when their business practices quit working and quit making the money, then that's when they change the way that they do business. And I encourage everybody when they call to be very courteous, and very understanding of the Supreme Court and their position, and to bring up some of these ideas and record it, and put those recordings on the Just Conspiracy channel on Telegram so that other people can hear them. And also, if they start hanging up on people, we can show the public that they're not working as advertised. Because that's exactly why she told me that, she didn't know how to answer my questions, but she would listen to me. It's because as long as you're being courteous and you're just talking with them about what their business is, then they're supposed to talk with you, because courts are supposed to be open and public. Here in the United States, we're not supposed to have star chamber courts, because society gets really scary when you have star chamber courts. And I'm not just doing this for people on this side or in the counterculture. I'm also doing this for you people in the judiciary and who work as clerks, because I don't know if you've thought this all the way through, but the UN is already talking about having artificial intelligence judiciary and courts. So you keep on running over people's rights, and the people are going to beg for an AI administration rather than your own. So that's just something to think about. And another thing to think about if you're going to call, especially if this Angela case is still going on, think about asking them about Angela's case, because, and I'll even play some audio of this at the end of the video, but Angela's told me that she can't file anything, that they won't really give her anything to write with, that she can't file anything into the courts. And that's a huge problem. So, because Angela's trying to file for a writ to restore her freedom, and, well, the Supreme Court's supposed to look over all the lower courts, so just ask them what's going on. And if they don't know, just inform them, hey, this is going on over in St. Louis, Missouri. This woman's trying to access the court. She's being denied her right to access a court of law, and she's right there in the jail. You're telling me I can't do nothing about it? Where do I go file this complaint form? So, anyways, if you really, really enjoy this, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, go over to the Telegram channel of Just Conspiracy, subscribe over there, and I post up videos and different things that I'm working on there sometimes before it goes up on YouTube or anybody sees it. So thank you, and I just wish to conspire with other people of this planet right now to get a woman who's wrongfully imprisoned her freedom and move on to other things, trying to make this world a better place for my little man and your little people in training as well. Please join us on this conspiracy. Peace. Afternoon, and he wished to join in on that complaint that Linda and I filed yesterday.
It's already been filed.
So,
I mean, you can file something at the courthouse saying that he wants to join in, but or he can call his lawyer to come do a statement. There's not anything I can do to make that happen.
well, I'm sure that he's telling them he requires to have access to the court. And in fact, I know of that because he was telling me that they won't give him pen and paper.
Right, but he has an attorney.
What does that have to do with the criminal complaint?
Well, what has to do with is that you're telling me like you want me to take some action and go back there and do it. I'm a judicial official. I don't make things like that happen. Something's brought to me and I act upon it.
No,
I
I
don't
understand
go and
that.
like, seek motions or get, make something like that happen.
I understand that.
So I'm not the one that you need to talk to.
No, I'm just letting you be aware that he wishes to access the court, and as far as I can tell, it's been denied.
They won't give him pencil and paper back there?
The pen or paper, yeah.
How do you know that?
Well, because that's what he said on the phone. He said that he had paper, but he doesn't have a pen.
Okay, well, I don't know about that. I will ask about that.
Alright.
I mean, it seems reasonable that he should have access
Yeah.
to that, and I'll check on that.
Alright.
And then, obviously, I don't mind taking it over and filing it for him, but I
Yeah,
thought
that's
you were
fine.
wanting me to go back there and take a statement from him, and I can't do all that.
Yeah, no, I'm just
No.
informing you.
I will ask about that, because I mean, unless he's somehow deemed to be dangerous to himself, which I haven't heard anything about that, then he
Yeah.
should be able to have a
Yeah.
writing, yeah. I'll check on that.
Alright, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'll get in touch with her and
Please.
see what
I'm asking. They're treating me like shit in here. And the longer time goes, the more I don't know where my kid is.
Yeah, and I mean, them setting up the bond hearing on the 26th, the same day that you're supposed to have the pretrial hearing for, for the custody stuff, that's, I'm sure that that's done on purpose.
Yeah, and I need to get out of here. And I'm being held against my will. If the city's not coming to get me, I don't get held in county for city. That is not right. That doesn't happen. That is all against so much.
Yeah,
I've never heard of it ever happening in my life. Never have I ever heard of this.
well, having pencil and paper, like, because when I talked to you the night before you went in, you had a pretty decent clue on how to actually kind of move.
But they wouldn't let me do any of it.
So, well,
They
even
shut
if,
me up. They wouldn't let me talk when that judge, they just started for a week. I thought, Kyle thought he was going to get me out today. I should be home. I should get out today. I should be getting out.
even if they're not letting you file paperwork, you still should be writing up paperwork and trying to have it put into the court, because
I don't know what it's doing. I can't do nothing in here. I have limited pencil. They won't sharpen it. You know what I'm saying? I have this little tiny square piece of paper that's just got phone numbers on it. They didn't tell me I had a caseworker. They're not letting me get commissary. They're feeding me bologna all day today. They're not letting me out of my cell. I can't maneuver anything in here myself personally. I'm depending on people on the outside to help me do anything.